Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurata Vrinda.
Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Shyam Sundar Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad. Srila Vishvavaranya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupad. Tirubhav Maha Mahotsav Ki Jai. Jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupanu Guru Bhargya Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So, we are here today to mark the appearance day of His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, the disappearance day of His Divine Grace. And try to give some glorification of His Divine Grace, which of course is in itself redundant, because He is His own glorification, and say that by His work, by His service, by His sacrifice, He has become known as the Jagat Guru in this age of Kali, and it is a fact. So we are always, everyone knows his pranam mantra, but maybe not everyone knows that it was composed incorrectly. It was composed by his disciples in more or less following the format of the pranam mantra that was composed in Gaudiya Math for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and they more or less just substituted Prabhupada's name in there. But there were some, the devotees that composed it, they didn't know Sanskrit. And Prabhupada himself said the composition is not correct. He said in the future, one of my disciples will rectify it. So anyway, Srila Govinda Maharaj, he wrote this pranam mantra for Srila Prabhupada, and the Sanskrit is very fine, and the meaning is also very fine, and so we choose to recite this mantra in Chaitanya Saraswat Math when we are making our obeisance to Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Swami Sri Bhaktivedanta Prabhupadayate Namaha. Gaurvagyam Shirasi Dritva Shakya Vesha Swarupine Hare Krishneti Mantrena Paschatya Prachatarine Vishvacharja Prabharyaya Dibya Karuna Murtaye Sri Bhagavata Madhurja Gita Jnana Pradayane Gaura Sri Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nisebine Radha Krishna Padamboja Bringaye Gurave Namaha. And the translation of that is, I perpetually offer my humble obeisance unto my Guru, Krishna's dear devotee on this earth, Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. Bearing the order of his Guru on his head, he is a Shaktivesh avatar of Nityananda Prabhu, and he delivers the East and the West with the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He is the ultimate Jagat Guru and the embodiment of divine mercy. He distributes the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the sweetness of Srimad Bhagavatam. He serves Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupad, and Sriman Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and he is a bumblebee at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. That is very beautiful. Pranam mantra composed by Gurudev. Our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, as most of us in our mission know, that he was Srila Prabhupada's student, and lived with Prabhupada for 10 years in Calcutta. At that time, Srila Prabhupada was a married man, and so was known by the devotees affectionately as Abai Babu. And he, in his home was in Sitakanta Banerjee Lane in Calcutta. And there he had a 3-story house. And the ground floor was his living accommodation. And the top floor was his laboratory, as he was a chemist and the representative of Bose Chemicals in Calcutta. And the middle floor was vacant. So as the middle floor was vacant, he offered it to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, our Guru Maharaj, to be the Calcutta branch of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math in those days. Excuse me. And Guru Maharaj accepted. Then, living there, two or three brahmacharis staying there and going for preaching, and Guru Maharaj sent Srila Govinda Maharaj there because he'd arranged a Sanskrit teacher in Calcutta for Srila Govinda Maharaj. That time, Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj was Gorendu Brahmachari and Saffron Brahmachari, and he's then staying there. But Guru Maharaj told him, you go every day and hear listen your lessons, Sanskrit lessons in Calcutta, where that was arranged by, it was one of Guru Maharaj's disciples who was a Sanskrit professor. And he said, but every morning you can hear Bhagavad Gita from Abai Babu. He is writing one translation of Bhagavad Gita in English. Thank you. Then, so Gurudev would do that. He would hear Bhagavad Gita every day from Srila Prabhupada. They would discuss that. And sometimes Prabhupada would ask him to take prasadam with him for breakfast. And, Guru Maharaj's, Gurudev's prasadam is very simple breakfast. He likes to eat muri. And often just muri mixed with water and a little sugar and maybe one rasagulla. That was Gurudev's breakfast. He liked that. And but Prabhupada's breakfast, something else. He would have like aloo bhaja or aloo dum and luchi, puri, and chana masala, or this kind of breakfast. Hearty breakfast, and kachori, of course. He liked very much kachori, as everyone knows. His mother used to call him kachori mukhi because he was always eating kachori. Anyway, so then he invited Gurudev to take breakfast, and he's telling his wife, you feed Gorendu give him some luchi, give him some. And then he's saying, no, Maharaj, Prabhu, I don't need that. I like to eat muri. I'm a village boy, and I like muri for breakfast. And Prabhupada used to laugh at him and say, there's nothing inside muri except for air. They're little shells with air inside, puffed rice. So he would say, that's just cheating the stomach. Have some some substantial breakfast, luchi and aloo bhaja and so on. And sometimes Gurudev would do that, but generally Gurudev likes muri. And even up until his last day, when he was going all over the world, he's taking muri for breakfast. And also as a snack later on in the day, often taking muri. And his koka, his servant, one of our devotees has Krishna in their handbag, playing his flute. Anyway, and Gurudev would bring, wherever he went, a big bag of muri, because he was never satisfied with the muri that you can get over here. You can get it, but he liked his own muri, and everywhere. Muri, he's a muri lover. Personally, I'm not a fan, but Gurudev liked that very much.
Everyone wants to do art is finished.
So, anyway, then Gurudev would go for his Sanskrit lessons to study, and Prabhupada would go about his business, chemistry business, in the upper floor in his laboratory, etc. And that time, there were a few small pamphlets published by our Mott in Navadvip, but they were in very short supply. So and Gurudev would go out whenever he was free. Guru Maharaj would send him to go out for preaching in the streets, just stopping people and preaching to them, and maybe going shop to shop, or tea shop or restaurant or whatever, and talking with people and distributing some small booklet. But sometimes those booklets were not available, they'd run out or whatever. In Bengali, they were in Bengali. But then he would tell Prabhupada, I have nothing to distribute. And Prabhupada would say, you can distribute this. He had a lithographed, self-published magazine that he was writing, and that was called Back to Godhead. And so, other than himself, Srila Govinda Maharaj was the very first distributor of Back to Godhead magazine in India, and anywhere in the world, actually. He was the first. So then it was, not just a few pages on a lithograph.
Like we used to have.
Like a photocopy or like that, or the predecessor of photocopies was called the lithograph. Anyway, like some kind of, where you put the paper underneath and it reproduces it. I don't know exactly, but
Or like a carbon copy.
something like that, yeah, something like that. But a little bit more sophisticated than that.
I did it right from India now.
Anyway, so Srila Govinda Maharaj remarks, about that. He said, you remember, Srila Govinda Maharaj stayed with Prabhupada for 10 years in that Sitakanta Banerjee lane, on and off. Sometimes he's going Navadvip for the service of Guru Maharaj, but substantially staying there and substantially hearing every day Bhagavad Gita from him. And Govinda Maharaj remarked, I never met anyone with such fervor for preaching Krishna consciousness. So that even then he's like, writing letters to Mahatma Gandhi, or, Dr. Radha Krishnan, who was the Prime Minister at that time. And he said whether they took any notice of anything that he wrote, but he felt he had to write to the leaders of society to stress upon them the importance of Krishna consciousness. And whether they, took notice of that or not, that wasn't the case. That really wasn't his concern. The fact that he had done his duty, that was his concern, like that. And so he was, publishing this magazine, there by hand, and and writing all the articles and everything, and going for preaching. And he said, Govinda Maharaj said, his friends were all very high class people in the Calcutta society at that time, because they were like clients of his from his business. So he knew many important people, and he said he would take me. Govinda Maharaj said he would take me with him for preaching, because I'm wearing the saffron cloth, and he would give me the speaker's chair, and I would give the part or the reading from the Bhagavatam or wherever it was they were reading. And then he said, and then Swami Maharaj, he would explain everything. I would give the reading, and he would explain everything. And in this way, they would go together for preaching. And during that time was the time of the 1947 partition of India, and Gurudev said there were riots in the street in Calcutta. Many people murdered, and very frightening time. And Gurudev said, when I was coming home from my studies, he said there were, you'd see the streets on fire, and literally bodies stuffed down the drains, just dead bodies in all the drains and everything.
Oh, was it between Muslim?
Yeah, Muslim and Hindu riots took place in Calcutta, and very frightening. And he said near to Prabhupada's residence there was a very famous gunda, like a gangster, you can say, like a gangster, controlled the organized crime in that area, and he was known locally as Amar Gunda. And Gurudev said, I was coming home one evening, and as I turned the corner, there was Amar Gunda hanging from the lamppost, and they'd killed him, and he's hanging from the lamppost, and someone had put a sign around his neck which read Amar Gunda on it. And anyway, then Gurudev said that time Guru Maharaj was also staying with Prabhupada in the house there, and they arrived home, they were debating like how we would escape if the Muslims come, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, I'll go in, because at the back of the property there was a big water tank, and Guru Maharaj said, I'll go in the water tank and just put the lid on, and I'll just stay in the water tank until it's over. That was Guru Maharaj's idea. Govinda Maharaj said, myself and one of the brahmacharis, we'd surveyed from the roof of the Prabhupada's house that you could escape across the rooftops. If you jumped from one building to another, you would be able to escape. So he said, we'd planned this route to escape across the rooftops. And she said, I told Guru Maharaj and Prabhupada this was our plan, that we were going to escape across the rooftops. And Govinda Maharaj and Prabhupada said, okay, but you have to go via the laboratory to get to the roof, and there are some very dangerous acids and chemicals in the laboratory, so you can take a few of those and like throw them at the mob down below, maybe take a few out. But he said but it never happened, because Mahatma Gandhi came, and then there was like peace when Gandhi came. Gandhi like appealed to everybody to stop the violence, and the
fasting.
Yeah, that's right. He fasted till they stopped the rioting, and then Guru Maharaj is not often staying in Calcutta, but when he was there, he would stay with Prabhupada, and but Govinda Maharaj there almost like all the time while he was learning Sanskrit. And his Sanskrit teacher, his name was Lakshmi Kanta, and he was a disciple of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And he knew that he's learning Bhagavad Gita from Prabhupada. The Govinda Maharaj is learning Bhagavad Gita from Prabhupada. And he's a little proud. And he said, why you're learning Bhagavad Gita from Abai Babu? I can teach you Bhagavad Gita. He is a householder. I am a brahmachari, he told. I am lifelong brahmachari. And he is a householder. And Gurudev said, no, Guru Maharaj told me to learn from him. And he said, no, he has kumkum on his head. That was the Sanskrit teacher's remark. Govinda Maharaj said, I was just like 17 years old then, and I didn't understand what he meant. But I knew it wasn't something flattering, it was something insulting. What it means, if you don't understand the reference, it means that he's been embracing with a woman, because women put kumkum on their body. And so the insinuation was he's been embracing with a woman and some kumkum has come off on his head. It's kind of an insulting thing to say to somebody in polite society. In our society, nobody would think anything of that, would they? But in polite society, Brahmin society, that was considered quite an offensive thing to say of someone. Anyway, so Govinda Maharaj said, I came home that night, and this was going in my mind. He has kumkum on his head, this is going in his mind. I'm thinking, like, what does that mean? I don't understand what that means. Then he said, so first of all, I went, before going to the first floor, which was like the ashram. He said, I went to Prabhupada's front door and I knocked on the door. And Prabhupada came to the door, and he was cooking at the time when I came. And he said, and his face was very red, flushed, very red, his forehead is particularly. and Govinda Maharaj said, I pointed at his forehead and said, why is your forehead so red? Is that kumkum on your head? and Prabhupada said, no, I'm cooking. Like, what do you mean? He said, oh, Lakshmi Kanta said you have kumkum on your head. And Prabhupada said, you can try and, remove it if you want. If it's kumkum, it'll come off on your hand. And Gurudev said, no, he could understand, although maybe he didn't understand the full meaning of it. He understood it was like a kind of insulting thing, and he said, please, excuse me. Anyway, we heard this from Gurudev one sorry, I had something here we are. So yes, so they, then their association was very close. And at the opening of the Chandradoya Mandir, Iscon Chandradoya Mandir in Mayapur, Srila Guru Maharaj was invited to come there, and of course that means also Govinda Maharaj will be there. And much to the astonishment of everyone, Prabhupada made Guru Maharaj sit on his Vyasasan with him, next to him. Other godbrothers were there, other senior godbrothers, but he didn't invite them to sit on his Vyasasan. He invited Guru Maharaj to sit on his Vyasasan. And he also asked Srila Govinda Maharaj to speak. Guru Maharaj spoke. Guru Maharaj spoke about building an ashram and said, it was a very remarkable talk, actually, Guru Maharaj's talk. And he said, those who worship the Lord by chanting the holy name of Krishna, they will awaken to find themselves in the harem of God. So it's a very high thing. But then he asked Srila Govinda Maharaj to speak, and Gurudev said, I wasn't expecting to speak anything. I hadn't prepared anything, So then I said, came from my mouth this verse of Raghupati Upadhyay, that who will I tell and who will believe me that Krishna, the Param Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, is chasing girls in the forests of Vrindavan? Who can I tell that to, and who will believe it? This is a famous verse by Raghupati Upadhyay. But Gurudev changed the Sanskrit of the verse so that the verse became, excuse me, who will I tell and who will believe it that our Abai Babu has now become the Jagat Guru of the whole world, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Who will I tell that and who will believe it? And in his lecture, Gurudev said, he considers my Guru Maharaj as his Shiksha Guru, and he has always treated me as his most affectionate son. Then afterwards, when Prabhupada spoke, he said, what Govinda Maharaj has said is true. I do consider his Guru, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Maharaj, as my Shiksha Guru. And I consider Govinda Maharaj as my dearmost son. Anyway, many things were said that time. Janardhan Maharaj was there at the time, he told me. He was actually there, present for that.
Nobody recorded that in a speech.
It's recorded somewhere, yeah. And
Guru Maharaj.
yeah, they're both recorded, yeah. And I think you can find them on the Bhaktivedanta Veda base, like the transcription. But the transcriptions are very poor. They just, anything they captured, they say, but most of it says indistinct, or Sanskrit, and because they couldn't follow Guru Maharaj so much. But they're there, those talks. And when Guru Maharaj arrived for that festival, Prabhupada was having his daily mustard oil massage. He would sit in his gamsha, and one of the devotees would massage him with mustard oil in the morning. And so when Guru Maharaj came, that was what was happening. And then what the devotees, he came, and he just in his gamsha, he came and to greet Guru Maharaj, welcome Guru Maharaj. And one of the devotees, they asked, so what do we do to install the deities? Radha Madhav, the deity there. What do we do? How do we do it? And Prabhupada said, Sridhar Maharaj has come, the deities are installed. That was all. Anyway, everyone knows their relationship was very close and intimate amongst all of the God brothers. And in fact, if you can read in Satsvarup Das Goswami's biography of Srila Prabhupada, in the first volume, which was published, not first, it was published second or third time actually, because it was the longest one to prepare, because it was about his life before Iscon, if you like. So then that that volume, although volume 1, I think was published after volume 2 and maybe after volume 3, but that volume is called A Lifetime in Preparation. And in there, very clearly, Prabhupada says, from the very beginning, when I met Sridhar Maharaj, I knew that he is a pure devotee of Krishna. And Prabhupada, meaning Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada and Krishna liked that he would prepare me. So that's there, very clearly that is there. And, excuse me, and something I found here, which is from the Goswami Maharaj published back in the 80s, a small booklet called Guardian of Devotion, which catalogued the relationship between Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. And there's a little extract from that. It says, although it may be said that Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj encouraged his god brothers in general, no one anywhere can produce a similar statement of endorsement like that. Prabhupada and Krishna were like that he would prepare me, and I consider him my Shiksha Guru, all these things. No one anywhere can produce a similar statement of endorsement. The fact is that Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj possessed the highest respect and appreciation for Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj is unparalleled in his understanding and admiration of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. As evinced in the following eulogy, this is Guru Maharaj speaking, so our Swami Maharaj has done a miracle. Thakur Bhaktivinoda conceived, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur began to translate this conception into action. And we find that through Swami Maharaj in his last days, it has been fulfilled to such a great extent. We are happy, we are glad, and we are proud. In response to this, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, with great humility, his voice choked with emotion, tearfully replied, "So, by Guru and Vaishnava, whatever position I have got is by Guru's mercy and the blessings of the Vaishnavas. Otherwise, how I may have. So I wish that Sridhar Maharaj may bestow his blessings as he was doing always, and may Guru Maharaj help me so I can do some service. By his grace it has become successful. I have no credit. I do not know how things are happening because I am not at all qualified. Chodiya Vaishnava Seva, Nishtara, Peyeche Keba. Without serving an ideal Vaishnava, who can be delivered from the clutches of Maya?" And after the disappearance of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj declared, "I consider him to be Shaktyavesh Avatar, and it is confirmed in his writings on his spiritual journey through the Atlantic, how he landed there in America, and the nature of his beginning the movement, his intense degree of dedication to Krishna and dependence, and how much he made himself empty of any other desire than the order of his Gurudev, quite empty that Krishna came down to help him. And it is corroborated that Krishna worked on his behalf. In his poem, Prayer to the Lotus Feet of Krishna, we find him pleading with Krishna, 'My dear brother, your good fortune will come to you only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you.' Seeing his Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, as Radharani's delegation, and his order as her divine service, he humbly submitted that he did not feel himself worthy or fit to discharge the divine service. So he enlisted Krishna in the service of his Guru. He had completely dedicated himself to the purpose. He was so earnest in his prayer to Krishna that he may discharge the duty that he has been given by his Guru Maharaj, that divine force, power, came down to help him. Otherwise it is impossible. It is not a thing of the ordinary level that anyone will do, but the highest thing has been taken down to the lowest position so extensively. It cannot but be the divine power embodied and in a great intensity and magnitude. So, Shaktyavesh Avatar, I cannot but take him to be so." So this is very wonderful realization, declaration by Srila Guru Maharaj about the preaching of Srila Prabhupada. We are all the beneficiaries of that. Someone may say, well, this is Sridhar Maharaj's temple, Govinda Maharaj's temple, so why you're worshipping Swami Maharaj in that temple? But we cannot, first of all, we cannot separate Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj from our Guru Maharaj and Gurudev. Govinda Maharaj always saying, 2 great generals I have had the fortune to serve, that is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj and Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. And often Gurudev would say, still we are living on his remnants. And it is the fact. Srila Govinda Maharaj said, he blasted a tunnel through the ego of the Western world. And now, very easily and without any effort, we are just walking through that tunnel. We are coming. We don't need to make any great sacrifice because he already did that. And a whole world enlightened with Krishna consciousness through him. Then Gurudev would say whenever he was visiting any country, and they would ask him at the immigration, why are you coming here? He would say, to meet with my family and friends. I'm just coming to meet with my family and friends. And this way, He already knows there are so many devotees here, and he considers they are his family, they are his friends, but he considers that as the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, because without his mercy, what do we know about Krishna consciousness? He has made Krishna consciousness all over the world. Pritiviti Arche, Sarvanadigram, this is Mahaprabhu's saying, in every town and village, my holy names will be sung. And everybody, pretty much everyone in the world has heard Hare Krishna through Prabhupada. Prabhupada, they don't know what is Gaudiya Vaishnavism. The people don't know what is Gaudiya Vaishnavism or anything, but everyone knows Hare Krishna. Everyone has heard, the Hare Krishna people. That's what you mean, the Hare Krishna people? Yes, the Hare Krishna people. So he made that, then so much immense success came on his behalf. Previously, other preachers came from the Gaudiya mission, Bhakti Hridoy Bon Maharaj, Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj, and Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. And they had some success, but not like his success. Not like his success. He's because, as Guru Maharaj said, he made himself empty of any other purpose or any other desire than the order of his Gurudev. Right from their very first meeting, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when Prabhupada met with him for the very first time, in a somewhat, you can say, skeptical, because his father was always entertaining sadhus, Gaur Mohan Dey, but he was never impressed by any of those sadhus, so-called sadhus. So when his friend said, there's this sadhu, you should come and meet him, he was reluctant to do, so many sadhus I've seen, then. No, he is different. Then he came and he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he listened to his lecture, but then he made some opposition, you can say. He said, yes, this is all very well, what you're telling is very good, very nice, everything, but as long as we're slaves to the British, who will hear your message of Chaitanya Day? But Saraswati Thakur wasn't having that. So Prabhupada was saying, first we need to have independence, then we can talk about Mahaprabhu's teaching all over the world. But Saraswati Thakur wasn't having that at all. He said, no, it doesn't matter who is running the country, that doesn't matter. Because Mahaprabhu's message is for everyone, not just for Indian people, it is for everyone. Then he said, if I just spend my time fighting the British occupation, then maybe in my next life I'll be born in Britain and have to fight against the Indians. Then he said, so, what's the value of that? And he told, you are an intelligent, educated man. If you get any opportunity, you should try to preach to the English-speaking world. Print books and, preach in the English-speaking language to the people of the world. And although he often said that to people that he met, Saraswati Thakur, that was his ambition to do that. But when that entered the ear of Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, he took that to heart, even at their first meeting, and considered that as the order of his Gurudev. Consider that he didn't take, after that first meeting, he didn't take initiation for another 11 years. It was 11 years later that he took initiation from Saraswati Thakur. And, finally he took sannyas. He wanted to take sannyas from Guru Maharaj. But because Guru Maharaj was living in his house in Sitakanta Banerjee Lane and very much closely involved with his family, his wife and his sons and everything, then he said, they will be angry with me if I give you sannyas. But I have given sannyas to Keshav Maharaj. If you want to take sannyas, you can take from him. It will be the same as taking from me. And that's exactly what he did. He approached Keshav Maharaj, Bhakti Vigyan Keshav Maharaj, and Keshav Maharaj gave him sannyas. And then what happened? After taking sannyas, he went to Vrindavan. He went to Vrindavan and got some accommodation, room in the Radha Damodar temple. His rooms they are keeping there still. And then he's an elderly man. He's left his family. His sister, Bhavantari Devi, or as the devotees knew her as Pishima. But she was, Guru Maharaj always referred to her as Madhav's mother, because her son was called Madhav, and he was a disciple of Guru Maharaj, I believe. And she also wanted to take Harinam from Guru Maharaj, but at that time, Guru Maharaj wasn't giving Harinam, so she went to, I believe, to Madhav Maharaj and took sannyas from him. But anyhow, she paid for the first publication of Prapanajimanamritam, which was in Bengali. She paid for that on the insistence of Prabhupada. But she was very wealthy. She was wealthy, and she told Prabhupada, this is not your life, Your life is not family life. You are a preacher. You can take sannyas, and I will take care of your family. Because she had money. Then she said, I will take care of the family for you, and you go and take sannyas. And so she did, from Keshav Maharaj, and then he went to Vrindavan, and there he's staying in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. And but he's not forgotten that instruction of his Gurudev to preach in the English. I mean, for any elderly gentleman to take sannyas and to live the rest of their life in Vrindavan, that would have been perfectly respectable, honorable, worshipable even, How many people in this day and age do that? So if he'd have just stayed in Radha Damodar for the rest of his life, there would have been no problem. But it was a problem for him, because in the back of his mind always, or I say in the back of his mind, I think in the forefront of his mind always, was the instruction of his Gurudev that I must try to preach in the Western world. And so he went to his godbrothers. Remember that he never really lived inside the mott because he was a householder. He'd never lived inside of the mott. So many of the devotees only knew him on the periphery. They saw him in the class or whatever. They didn't really know him very well. A few did, but not so many. So he went to one godbrother's temple and said, I want to go and preach in the West. Will you sponsor me for that? And they said, their response was, if you stay and serve here for 1 year, then we'll consider. And that's not unreasonable, is it? If someone comes and says, I want you to sponsor me to go for preaching, you don't know that person, then you say, yes, stay here for some time, and we'll see who you are, and because that would be, not to say that they thought that, or maybe they did, but, there are always people trying to get money from you, aren't there, I mean, here, one man came here, who I've known for many years, but on the periphery, if you like. And he came here and he asked me, I want to go and live in Vrindavan. Will you pay for me to go, to go and live in Vrindavan? And I said, no, I can't do that. And he said, oh, all my life is only for Krishna. And, I do not know that anybody's life is only for Krishna. I only know that Gurudev's life is only for Krishna, and Guru Maharaj's life. Everyone else, we can say there's maybe some question mark. But anyhow, so I'm not going to do that. And so in the same way, and who knows, maybe he had some pure intention for that. I don't know. But when Prabhupada came to his godbrother's mott and they said, please, you live here and serve for 1 year. Not unreasonable. But Prabhupada wanted to go now. It's like, I can't wait a year. That was his thinking, So, and in fact, he made the remark, I don't want to just sit in the temple ringing bells. And that was published in the in his biography, that remark. And the name of that devotee whose temple it was also published there. And naturally, when they read that, they were felt insulted, or his followers, his disciples of that Maharaj, felt insulted, and they came to. The modern age intrudes on us.
So, Prabhu, why Guru Dev didn't want to give Prabhupada sannyas? You said, why?
Srila Sridhar Maharaj.
Yes.
Because his family knew him. It's like, and generally it's considered to be like a tragedy if your family member takes sannyas. It's like they become dead. Prabhupada said sannyas means accepting death early. So then Guru Maharaj said, if I give you sannyas, then your wife and your sons, they'll be very angry with me. Because they know me. I'm like their family member. Then if I give you sannyas, they'll be very angry with me. So better, you can go to Keshav Maharaj, because I gave him sannyas. I've given him the sannyas mantra, it'll be the same. But he's a little removed from the family, you see. So that was and that's what Prabhupada did. He went for that. Went to the to Keshav Maharaj to take sannyas. So anyhow, so they published that. It was published in his biography, and followers of that devotee who Prabhupada said, I don't want to just sit in the temple ringing bells like them, something like that, he said, Then they came to Guru Maharaj to complain. Oh, this is what he says, our Guru Maharaj is just sitting in the temple ringing bells, And Guru Maharaj, they're thinking, it's a big offense to our Gurudev, and maybe we also would think if someone said that about our Gurudev. But anyhow, Guru Maharaj harmonized everything. He said to them, you have to consider what he has done, like for spreading Krishna consciousness all around the world. And if he gives you the position of a bell ringer in his kirtan, you should consider yourself greatly blessed. To be a bell ringer in his kirtan. Then this way, Guru Maharaj harmonized. And they also accepted. Maybe not fully, but this was Guru Maharaj's consideration. To be a bell ringer in his kirtan, that is no ordinary thing. So, but anyhow, this was his, the fervor of his ambition to preach. And when I say ambition, I don't mean that in any material way. He wasn't ambitious to become famous or to become, a Jagat Guru or to be nothing of the kind. The world preacher. That wasn't his ambition. His only ambition was to try to fulfill the order of his Gurudev. And coming over on the bus. Coming over on the boat, which took like 3 months or something. A long time. It's not like that in those days. You couldn't just go to Subhash Chandra Bose airport in Calcutta and jump on an Air India flight to London, or to New York, as he went to Boston, isn't it, in New York. Had to go on the ship, and what ship? It wasn't even a passenger ship; it was a cargo ship. So he had one friend, Sumati Murarji. Her name was Sumati Murarji, and she owned this shipping company in Bombay. And so he went to her and I said, please, give me passage on it's going anyway to America, your ship. Just give me some passage there. And she said, well, we don't have any, only a few cabins. She said, I only need one place to lie down and, maybe write something. And she said, old man, you will die if you do that. It's hard. It's a hard life. And what happened during that time? He had 2 or 3 heart attacks on the way there, and you know, finally made it. And he prays to Krishna then, "Why have you brought me to this terrible place?" He says, "I don't know anything. You know, it's not like today. You just like, oh, okay, New York, look it up on the internet, and you can see what's going on here and there." No, he might as well have been going to another planet, as much as he knew about that, right? So then he comes there. In fact, Yogeshwar, his disciple, has written a biography, a small biography. It's very nice, actually. And in that biography, the title of that biography is Swami in a Strange Land. Because really that's what it was, right? He's coming to a land. He doesn't, from Calcutta in India, coming to New York, he's never seen anything like it. He's never seen skyscrapers or, you know, and he arrives there and he's saying, "I don't know, you know, will my words be able to, you know, will they be able to understand my words, to appreciate my words?" He said, "All I can say is, you know, I'm your puppet. Then if you want me to dance, make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you will. And you can make my words fit for them to hear." So he arrived there in Boston with less than $100 and a crate with some books and so on. And he went to a friend, you know, like a contact. It was his name was Govinda Agarwal. Govinda Agarwal, and he was, I don't know what his profession was, but they lived in Boston, and his wife, her name was Sally Agarwal, and he stayed in their house to begin with, and they both smoked, and they both ate meat, and they would say, "Oh, does it, you know, like smoking a cigarette, does it trouble?" He would say, "Don't think nothing of it." You know, like he's staying in someone else's house. He's not going to tell them how they should live their life. Then he wrote, and he's writing report to Guru Maharaj, sending letters to Guru Maharaj through Govinda Maharaj. Govinda Maharaj said, in his letter he said that I have one shelf in the refrigerator, and in the middle, and where I keep my food, and in the same refrigerator, on top of my shelf there's meat there. And below my shelf, there's meat there, in the refrigerator, you know. And Govinda Maharaj said, definitely he's a Paramahamsa, because no Brahmin would be able to tolerate such a thing. So only a Paramahamsa Vaishnava. And not only did he tolerate it, he said, don't think anything of it to them, you know. Like his way around that was he would cook for them. And same thing when he was on the ship. They're fishermen, right? Not fishermen, sorry. They're sailors. So sailors generally aren't vegetarian, you know. Eat fish, yeah. So, but Prabhupada, he would cook for them on the ship. He observed Janmashtami on the ship.
But he won't cook meat or fish.
No, of course. He would make prasadam, yeah. He would make prasadam. He would cook that, and they would take that because he was a very good cook. So, you know, and he would say, "Oh, today I've made this Begun chachuri." And he said it is very delicious. He said, you know, and he says, "Today I am absorbed in the nectarine of Chaitanya Charitamrita, my very life," he said. It's very beautiful, that diary that he kept. Anyway, so then he's staying there, you know, for some time. But he's not just going to live in their house, you know. He's come for a purpose. So then he goes to New York and he's living in the Bowery. And this is where, you know, the prostitutes and the drug addicts and, you know, the low life, that's where they live. And he's living there. And not only living there, living with them. He's like sharing an apartment. The guy who he shared an apartment with stole his typewriter and used the money to buy drugs. Then anyway, not feeling any success, no success. So he's going down to the docks and looking when's the next ship returning to Bombay, And the man he's asking the man at the office, and the man says, "You're always coming here, but you're never getting on the ship, are you? You're always coming inquiring, but you never get on any of the ships." Anyway, one day while he's down there checking it out, a man came up to him and asked him, "Are you from India?" He says, "Yes, I'm from India." They began talking, and he says, "Oh, I'm studying like Sanskrit at the university," and it was Hayagriva, became later Hayagriva Prabhu, and he was the editor of Prabhupada's books because he was a professor at the university, and he just began helping Prabhupada, arranged some apartment and so many things, so. And it all started from there. And then Prabhupada would go to, Tompkins Square Park, and he would just sit under the tree playing kartal or, a little drum or whatever it was and chanting Harinam. And people would come to hear the Indian Swami chanting in the park. In fact, that park in New York, it has a plaque on the tree now, given by the New York government, the state, New York State, and it says, this is the place where the Hare Krishna movement began, with A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami chanting under the tree. All the devotees that go to New York, they always go there, like for pilgrimage, Tompkins Square Park, to see that tree where the Hare Krishna movement began. And, the rest is history, we know. It went on from there. More and more and more successful. So many people coming under the banner of Mahaprabhu through him. And all the time he's sending report to Guru Maharaj. And then, everyone knows so many things better than I do, of course. But
the temple they made in America, New Vrindavan, was it after or before?
Well, no, it was after. It was begun in the time of Prabhupada, but what they call it, Palace of Gold, that was finished after his disappearance. But it's in West Virginia, the New Vrindavan. It was established in the time of Prabhupada. One of his main centers there.
Was George Harrison made it?
No. That was only here in Bhaktivedanta Manor. No, the devotees, somehow they got that, and I don't know the history of that, but the building of it, the devotees built it.
Very big?
It's huge, yeah, it's huge. That was under Kirtananda Swami. They made that. But anyway, is still going, that temple. But Prabhupada had much success, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he says that Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in Calcutta, his room was up on the first floor, and in his room in Calcutta, he would keep a map of London there, and he would often look at that map, and there's Buckingham Palace, there's like Kensington Palace, and there's St. Paul's Cathedral, and he would imagine where the temple would be, because there was a Maharaj of Jaipur, not Jaipur, but Jaipur, which is in Orissa, who was going to fund the building of a temple in London for Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur. It never happened in the end, but Guru Maharaj told us his intention was that he himself would go to London, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and on his passing, he was heard to say, "Krishna has cheated me of 10 years," because his astrological chart said that he would live another 10 years than he did. So he said, Krishna has cheated me of 10 years. And Guru Maharaj said, I believe that Krishna gave those 10 years to Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. And his preaching was more or less just over 10 years, like from the beginning, from the establishment of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And, it's a miraculous thing, such a miraculous thing that no ordinary man can do such a thing. It's impossible. No ordinary man. Only the Lord came down to work miraculously through him. This is our Guru Maharaj, and that's why our Guru Maharaj said, I consider him as Shaktivesh Avatar. Shaktivesh Avatar means the power of the Lord in some aspect coming through a human being. You like that? So like Vedavyas, he's Shaktivesh Avatar. Parashuram, also Shaktivesh Avatar. And other, there are many, but most notably Vyasadeva, Shaktivesh Avatar. And Guru Maharaj said Prabhupada also Shaktivesh Avatar. And then
when he was going to America, when he had the heart attack, he saw Krishna. Krishna appeared in front.
I cannot say what he saw or didn't say.
Someone told me that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say, Krishna appeared before him and told him this, because I don't know that, but certainly Krishna worked on his behalf, and to make that happen. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said once, asked Guru Maharaj, so you said that he is Shaktivesh Avatar, but Shaktivesh of who? Who's Shakti? And Guru Maharaj, without even thinking about it, he said Nityananda Prabhu is Shakti. Only Nityananda Prabhu can do that work for establishing that. And we see that in most of his temples he established the worship of Gaur Nitai. So
He was 70 plus.
yes. So it is like an impossible thing, miraculous thing. And not only, that it happened was a phenomenon, which of course it was, it still continues. It still continues. So, once Guru Maharaj said, somebody asked Guru Maharaj, what's the proper conception of Iscon? And Guru Maharaj quoted this verse of Raghunath Das Goswami. Nama Shrestam Manamapi Sachiputram Atta Swarupam Rupam Tashragajam Uruparim Maturim Gostavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Aho Radhika Madhavasha Prapto Yasya Patita Kripaya Shri Gurun Tam Natosmi. This is a seminal verse of Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, composed by Raghunath Das Goswami. And Guru Maharaj said, as long as they are following that standard, then not only will it continue, it will thrive, and it will grow, and not only on this earth planet, but all over the universe, Guru Maharaj said. And it will satisfy the hankering of all souls by giving them Krishna consciousness. So, of course, it is not an easy act to follow, so to say, if you'll excuse the expression, that what Prabhupada came to give, who will give that? Seriously, but they are following, as much as they are following Srila Prabhupada, then the International Society for Krishna Consciousness must grow and must be successful. Krishna has chosen to give himself to the world through the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And Srila Gurudev said, we are always looking to see what is their preaching, what are they doing, and how the holy name of Krishna is spreading all over the world. It is spreading through them by the grace and by the Shakti of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. Even though physically he's not there anymore, still, as he established, his books said for the next 10,000 years, these books will be the standard. And he established that in his mission. Books are the basis, is what he said. That these books are the basis of our mission. And really it's the fact, even in our mission also, books are the basis. If anyone tells you don't read any books, then don't listen to them for a moment. Srila Govinda Maharaj says, not only should you read our books once, but again and again and again. The new light will come to you through those books. And what are those books? They're the talks of our gurus. So if we want to understand that, we should read those books and again and again and again. They're the very basis of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, so many misconceptions will come. Then what is that? That is the foundation. The foundation of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada's books. The foundation of Chaitanya Saraswat Srila Sridhar Maharaj's books. We should know them, we should understand them, and Prabhupada's books also. It is not that they're just for Iscon. They are for all followers of Krishna consciousness. They're the very basis of that. So that's why you see in our bookshelf, there they are. There's Prabhupada's books. They're all there. We're reading them every day. And our Guru Maharaj's books and Guru Dev's books also. But this is his legacy. His legacy. And as much as the devotees follow and preach what's contained in those books, that much they must be successful. That success that Srila Prabhupada started for spreading Krishna consciousness, that will grow through that. It will grow through that. And heritage, yes, the heritage. That's right. So, it's not a small thing. When they published Chaitanya Charitamrita, that was published by Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, but under the direction of Tamal Krishna Goswami, and Prabhupada told them you have to produce one volume every month. 17 volumes, and they did it. 17 volumes in as many months. And Prabhupada, and as they're producing them, Prabhupada's speaking through his dictaphone, making it more. And more. And on this day, his disappearance day, on the very day when he disappeared, he's recording his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. On the very day of his passing. Then, how it will not be spread all over the world when you have a guru like that. What miraculous things he did. That no one will believe it. If they did not have it recorded, nobody would be able to believe it. So we're fully indebted at his lotus feet, and we consider our connection with his mission to be very close. The devotees of Iscon in this country, at least, they're very friendly with us and also appreciating Srila Guru Maharaj to a great degree. It may not be the same everywhere, but here at least we have a very good relationship with Iscon, and we're happy for that. And when we see their success, we're happy for that. We want to see that. We're not trying to be competitors with them, because that would be foolish. We cannot compete with them. Yes, and also, that is not really devotion. So, Guru Maharaj himself said, through whom Krishna reveals himself. That is a wonderful, miraculous thing. So, then... But Prabhupada had much faith in our Guru Maharaj. And, not many people know, right, that in his will, when he passed away, one of the items in his will was that the International Society for Krishna Consciousness will complete the work of Sridhar Maharaj's Nat Mandir in Navadvip Math. And they paid for that, and it was completed there by the desire of Srila Prabhupada.
Which one is that?
The hall at the front of the temple, where they have the kirtan. That's called the Nat Mandir, the dancing hall.
In front front of the temple.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a hole.
yeah.
Prabhupada went there after going from Western world.
Yeah, no, that's actually the truth too. That where did Prabhupada go when he returned to India with his disciples? To Guru Maharaj.
First,
And Guru Maharaj, through Govinda Maharaj, he arranged citizens' reception in Navadvip, in the town hall of Navadvip, and many important pundits and Goswamis and others came there to give reception to Prabhupada. That was arranged by Srila Govinda Maharaj. And Guru Maharaj was going to speak there, but he became very ill, wasn't able to go there. And not only that, right? This is another thing that many devotees don't know, is that when Prabhupada wanted to purchase the land for the Iscon Chandradoya Mandir in Mayapur, many local temples and sadhus objected and blocked it. They blocked the sale of that property to Prabhupada. And their reasoning was, if the Americans come here, it will spoil the chastity of the Dham. That was their argument, like that. And we have to say from experience that maybe there's some truth in that also. But, I mean, I joke really, but like when there's a big festival in Navadvip, you know, and the Western devotees come, like all the prices for the rickshaws, for the boats, for everything, they shoot up, you know, 4 or 5 times more than they normally are. But anyway, who can blame them for that, you know? Comparatively, Western people are wealthy, aren't they? Compared, most of those rickshaw wallahs, they're never going to go on an airplane anywhere in their life. So, you know, to make a few extra rupees on a trip on the rickshaw is not such a big thing, not such a crime. But anyhow, so they blocked the sale of that land. So then Prabhupada came to Guru Maharaj and explained everything. Guru Maharaj sent Govinda Maharaj. Govinda Maharaj bought the land. So it was, yeah, the Chandradoya. Govinda Maharaj bought the land,
Yes.
and then with Prabhupada's money,
Yeah.
but in Guru Maharaj, but in
Gurudev's name.
in Gurudev's name, and then all the temple, everything was constructed, and then Govinda Maharaj signed the paper like, I'm gifting it to Swami Maharaj. Yeah.
So which temple is it?
The Iscon temple in Mayapur,
Yeah.
the huge temple in Mayapur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been in that.
Yeah, so that was purchased in the name of Govinda Maharaj. It wasn't Guru Maharaj or Govinda Maharaj's money, it was Prabhupada's money. But to get around the fact that it had been blocked by the local people.
But also there is one room in the Navadvip. Guru Maharaj gave it to Govinda Maharaj. And Govinda Maharaj room one day Swami Maharaj stayed. And it's still there, in Centenary, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Usually when Prabhupada came there, Guru Maharaj gave him the house on the corner, which we always knew as the Blue House.
Yeah.
Prabhupada stayed there with his disciples. But that house, last time I saw it, it was painted white, so we can't really call it the Blue House anymore. But Prabhupada stayed there, and when he was there, he was there for Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, and he told his disciples, now you will see how to worship the spiritual master. And Achyutananda Swami was there with him. Guru Maharaj left Achyutananda there at the temple and told him, you need a Shiksha Guru, and Sridhar Maharaj, I consider him as my Shiksha Guru, so what benefit you will get from him. And he left him with Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj taught him many things, personally taught him many things. And when he came back afterwards, that's when they started singing the songs of the, Vaishnava Charya. They didn't know any of those songs before, just the few that Prabhupada sang, like Gurvastakam, but many songs, Achyutananda Swami learned from Guru Maharaj, and many things he learned. In fact, he wrote a biography, his biography. He's a good writer, Achyutananda. He's not Swami anymore. He's married now. He lives in Alachua in America. But he wrote the book, and the book was called Autobiography of a Jewish Yogi. You know, because there's Paramahansa Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi. So his one was called Autobiography of a Jewish Yogi, because he was Jewish by birth. But finally he didn't publish it. But just a few years ago he published it, but he changed the name a bit. It's called Blazing Sadhus. Blazing Sadhus. There's a film called Blazing Saddles, and it was like named after that. Blazing Sadhus, and then there's a subtitle: Never trust a holy man that doesn't dance. That was the subtitle. But the majority of the book is about his time with Guru Maharaj in Navadvip, and it's really lovely, and you can get it online. You know, I think you can download it, but it's worth reading. It's really worth reading to get like his account of being with Guru Maharaj and what Guru Maharaj taught him and took him for preaching and all these things.
So
it's
the
really
title is Never Trust.
No, the title's Blazing Sadhus.
Oh, Blazing Sadhus.
Yeah, by Achyutananda Das. I think it's under the name Achyutananda Das. But anyway, so Prabhupada came there, and while they were there, then Guru Maharaj and Prabhupada, they're talking together, and he told Achyutananda, you go back to your room. I have something. I need to discuss something with Sridhar Maharaj. So Achyutananda went. Then later he says, when Prabhupada came back to the rooms, he said, "What did you and Sridhar Maharaj talk about?" And Prabhupada said, "If I told you, you would faint." He says his realizations about Krishna are very high. So you can understand, not everything is for everyone. But so, you know, Prabhupada had so much affection and trust in Guru Maharaj. So much trust that he would leave his disciples with Guru Maharaj, because he knew Guru Maharaj isn't going to steal them for himself. You know, you understand? Make them his disciples. He's not going to do that. Anyhow, so we have this very strong connection with Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada with our mission also. And as I've said many times before, if he were here today, I believe he would come and see this mott, Sridhar Maharaj's mott. And not only come and see it, he would tell his disciples, you help them. I believe he would, you know. But anyhow, that's not going to happen, and you know, that's not even a possibility. But that kind of affectionate relationship they had. And just one final thing I wanted to say, really, was that Guru Maharaj when Prabhupada, it was kind of, even in the time of the Gaudiya Math, he was kind of a little controversial in some of the things that he did. Like, for a while he called himself Prabhupada Das. No, Bhaktisiddhanta Das. And many of the God brothers, they objected to that. That wasn't the name that Prabhupada gave you, and you know, his name was Abhay Charan Day, and Prabhupada, when he gave him initiation, made it Abhay Charanaravinda. But anyway, for a while he was going on as in the name of Bhaktisiddhanta Das, and many of the God brothers objected to that. Some of the devotees, they gave him the title of Bhaktivedanta while he was a Grihastha, and some of the other devotees objected to that, you know. But Guru Maharaj said no, it is okay, and he kept that name when he was given sannyas, Bhaktivedanta. His sannyas name was Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, like Gurudev's name is Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Maharaj. So Prabhupada's name, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. So in our mission, we often refer to him as Swami Maharaj. But, you know, everyone in the world, and even our devotees, we know him as Srila Prabhupada. But previously, Srila Prabhupada was the title of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So they're all telling his name as Prabhupada. Prabhupada. But Govinda Maharaj, he said, now that has become Swami Maharaj's title. If you say Prabhupada, everyone thinks immediately of him. He said, so I propose that we don't refer to Saraswati Thakur as Prabhupada when we tell him the Jai. Said so, but instead, Bhagavan Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So then somebody objected, right? One godbrother objected. Why you're telling Bhagavan? Then where'd you get this from? They were telling to Govinda Maharaj, and Govinda Maharaj said, I can show you. And he took them to Guru Maharaj's room, and in Guru Maharaj's room, Guru Maharaj's own copy of Srimad Bhagavatam, he'd written in the, like the margin, Om Vishnupad, Bhagavan Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in reference to his Guru Maharaj. Then he said, so if you don't accept it from me, do you accept it from Guru Maharaj? Here it is, in black and white. Okay. Can't argue with that. So, no harm. So anyway, we cannot, he is our Adi Guru, we can say. More or less everyone that we know came to Krishna consciousness through his preaching. I was a schoolboy when I read the first book from him. My English teacher knew I was interested in Buddhism and other things at that time. And my English teacher, she gave me 3 books. One was called Zen Bones, Zen Flesh. That was by Alan Watts, who's like a Zen writer. And the second one was called Be Here Now, which was written by Baba Ramdas, Richard Elpert from Berkeley University. I liked that book very much, very colourful. And anyway, it's called Be Here Now, and it's a subtitle, which is Cookbook for a Spiritual Life. There weren't any recipes in it, by the way. And the third book she gave me, Sri Ishopanishad by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And I read all of the books, and I'm thinking, yeah, there's some goodness and good things in here. But when I started reading Ishopanishad, and every page I was like, yeah, that's right, that's true, that's amazing. That every single page there was that recognition. And, then you can see what kind of potency he had. And every follower of Prabhupada has a similar experience. Everyone that I've ever met, they've had a similar experience like that. And of course, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita commentary. Bhagavad Gita as it is. Before Bhagavad Gita as it is, so many English translations of Bhagavad Gita by scholars and something. But I can say, without a doubt, not one of those scholarly translations made anyone a devotee of Krishna. Not one. Not one person would say, oh yeah, I read Christopher Isherwood's Gita and I became a devotee. No. Only when they read Prabhupada's Gita. Gita as it is. And Prabhupada himself says, only a devotee of Krishna is able to explain what Krishna is saying. Otherwise, everyone giving some intellectual, fantastic interpretation, all filled with, metaphors and similes, and is nothing, really. Just word jugglery, as Prabhupada would say. So, then what kind of potency? And how many books? Millions of books of Prabhupada's distributed. In America, they have that the Gideon Bible. When you go to a hotel or motel, there's always a Gideon Bible in the drawer of your bedside table. You can keep it. They go around and they've done it for like years and years and years, the Gideon Bible. Now Iscon have done the same thing, putting Bhagavad Gitas into hotels all over America.
Not only America, India as well. Because once we stayed in Bombay, Iscon, and there was a Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, but of course in Iscon hotel there's going to be, but in America, any hotel, And every hotel. I mean, they get permission from the owners, but they leave a Bhagavad Gita in the bedside table, and whoever stays there, they can take that if they want. Next, with the Gideon Bible, so many books distributed, and that was Prabhupada's miracle book distribution. You know, and he would say, "If you love me, distribute my books." He would say that. Once, when Malini was small, we were at the Iscon Govinda's restaurant, and we were eating something there, and it was during their marathon, book distribution marathon, and two ladies, they'd set up a table outside, and they're selling Prabhupada's books to people. Malini said, "Oh, I want to do it," and she jumped up. We're eating like a cheesecake or something, and she jumped up, ran outside, spoke to the two girls that were there. Next thing we see, she's selling Prabhupada's books to the people there. It was infectious. Anyhow, childish enthusiasm, of course. We could all benefit from some of that, But anyhow, so he is our Adi Guru. He's the person that lit the flame in all of us for Krishna consciousness, and so we're
He left in 77.
yes. So we are so much indebted to him, and we can never think of not giving our obeisance and glorifying him, not only on his appearance and disappearance day, but every day. So, Jai Vishnupad, Vishvavaranya, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura